Now that we've covered the brow, ridge, eyebrows, nose, and ears, let's move on to the eyes and cheekbones. Look at these eyes. Really focus. Would you say these eyes are still or active? Just feel it. You can't prove it. You can only sense it. Are they calm beneath the surface, or is there a restless energy inside? They're active. Quick, but active. This person grasps things quickly, but lacks depth. And what about these eyes? Are they active or still? These eyes go beyond stillness. His wife could walk right past him and he wouldn't even notice. Even if it were March 8th, International Women's Day, he wouldn't have a clue. These eyes belong to someone lost in thought, deeply contemplative. The eyes aren't really seeing anything, they're just the surface, while the mind is running elsewhere entirely. Do these eyes carry authority? Yes, they do. And these eyebrows, do they belong to a warrior or a scholar? Definitely a warrior. This gaze has presence. It commands attention. Steve Jobs had eyes like that, full of intensity and power. Bill Gates, on the other hand, had a gentler gaze, less commanding. His face, too, radiated a more benevolent energy. But take a look at the noses of these two men. What do you notice? Are their noses high? Is the root of the nose prominent? Yes, very much so. It's almost like their noses reach toward the heavens. A nose that reaches the heavens symbolizes a balance between willpower and intellect. When someone's drive matches their intelligence, whatever they can envision, they have the strength to make it real. Steve Jobs had a pointed, somewhat narrow nose tip, and the shape can suggest a touch of cunning or scheming. So it's clear, throughout his life, everything he created carried a spark of brilliance, but there was also an undercurrent of control. The kind of control you might associate with a magician, masterful, creative, but always orchestrating things behind the scenes. Even Apple's top engineers, the ones working directly with him, often had no idea what project they were actually building. He kept everything tightly under wraps. They were just one link in a much larger chain, without the full picture. His employees described him as perfectionistic, detail-oriented, passionate about creativity, quick-tempered, ambitious to the point of wanting control over everything, decisive, sharp-tongued, and emotionally cold, a mix of brilliance and volatility, shaped by both drive and a sense of inner lack. This man's features are quite unique. His nose has that sharp, almost sorcerer-like quality, yet it's also a nose that reaches the heavens, a sign of fierce determination and sharp intelligence. A nose that aligns with the forehead always hints at a clever mind. His gaze is commanding, the eyes of a warrior, and his eyebrows reinforce that martial energy. But then his round forehead and the soft curves in his face reveal something more. A natural military strategist, someone born to lead with both intellect and authority. Notably, his rounded forehead signals both a strategic military mind and the analytical thinking of a scientist. His ears, fairly large, though not overly so, slightly protrude outward. You can see it, right? This man is a fusion of both the scholarly and the martial, a rare blend of intellect and action. And above all, he stands out for his commanding presence and extraordinary willpower. What was he lacking? The quality of gentleness and yielding. Why did he die of cancer? With all his wealth, he could afford the best doctors, so why did he still die from it? Because he died from the fire of his own anger. It was the turmoil within that consumed him. Did he often sue others? Absolutely. Apple became known as a company that aggressively pursued lawsuits against other firms. In contrast, Microsoft rarely went that route. Think about it. You're probably using cracked software for free right now. Pretty much everyone here owes Bill Gates some money. I owe him a lot. Every time a new version of Windows comes out, I upgrade for free. New Office? Install it, no problem. Over the years, I've probably used thousands of dollars worth of his software without paying a cent. Each of us probably owes Bill Gates $1,000, maybe $2,000 if we're talking about license fees. So it makes perfect sense that he became the richest man in the world. One fine day, he's born into this world. Doesn't matter where. And all the people who once owed him money just keep buying his stuff. And just like that, he's the richest man in the world again. This here is the zygomatic region, the cheekbones. See how they protrude down here? That's what we call high cheekbones. And when we say large cheekbones, we're talking about the surface area. Let me show you an example of that kind of face. Here, this is what large cheekbones look like. Notice how much space they take up. And this nose, it curves slightly downward, a bit hawk-like, a bit sharp, with a touch of that sorcerer vibe again. And these cheekbones here, these are smaller or maybe medium-sized at most. People with less prominent cheekbones tend to avoid conflict. They're not drawn to power struggles. But those with large cheekbones, they thrive on competition. They crave control, perfection, and a sense of ownership. Take actress Hồng Vân, for example. Her first marriage ended in divorce, right? Her cheekbones suggest a strong sense of power and self-interest, the kind that tends to clash in relationships. Her first husband, Mr. Duong Tinch, well, just look at her cheekbones. Would you say they're yin or yang? Definitely yang. High, assertive cheekbones like these reflect a combative, dominant nature. Yielding, gentle energy. That would be yin. When two strong personalities go head-to-head, someone's bound to walk away. And that's how the first marriage ended in divorce. Later on, she remarried, and her second husband had a very different temperament. He knew how to step back, took care of the kids, and let her shine on stage. And with that, the household became harmonious. It's like their roles reversed. She took on the lead, and he supported her quietly behind the scenes. And that balance brought peace. Finding a man like that, is it easy? Not at all. Honestly, in the whole of Vietnam, you might only find a handful. And she already landed one of them. Marrying someone who's willing to stay home, raise the kids, and take care of everything behind the scenes so you can chase your career dreams, that's rare. Really rare. So in her case, if she hadn't met this man, if it had been someone else, the chances of a second divorce would have been high. You see what I mean? And if she hadn't learned the lesson from it all, then a third breakup could have easily followed. This kind of lesson, Margaret Thatcher mastered it. I really admire her story. She was the Prime Minister of the UK, the Iron Lady, fierce and commanding. Her decisions were firm, no questions asked. Once she made up her mind, that was it. And under her leadership, Britain surged forward with incredible momentum. Her husband is a PhD in economics, and when it came to anything related to the household or finances, she always prioritized his input. Even though she was in Parliament, attending government meetings, she'd bring home 5 or 6 different proposals and let him review them. She respected his judgment, especially in economic matters. He would go through the proposals, highlight the ones he believed would truly benefit the country, circle key points, jot down notes. This section is strong, that chapter is solid, this team has potential. The next day, she'd take all his insights into the cabinet meeting, finalize the direction, and move forward with execution. He would go through the proposals, highlight the ones he believed would truly benefit the country, circle key points, jot down notes. This section is strong, that chapter is solid, this team has potential. The next day, she'd take all his insights into the cabinet meeting, finalize the direction, and move forward with execution. Nowadays, it's really hard for women in leadership to balance things. Once they become the boss out there, it's easy to come home and stop seeing their husbands with the same respect. A few setbacks from the husband, and the respect fades. Distance grows from there. But Margaret Thatcher was brilliant at navigating that. As for someone like Hồng Vân, she's a rare case. Don't try to follow that path blindly. Finding a man willing to step back and play the supporting role like that, that's incredibly rare. Take a look at these eyes. What do you notice? The gaze has that soft, slightly glistening quality we call wet eyes. In contrast, some people have drier eyes, more reserved. But wet eyes? That's a sign of someone deeply emotional, someone who feels things strongly. This woman here, don't be fooled into thinking she's deeply emotional. Her emotions don't actually come from the eyes. What gives that impression is her cheekbones, not her gaze. Her eyes aren't truly wet eyes. Now this is what we call wet eyes. Curved lashes, a soft shimmer, that's the real thing. And beyond just being moist, there's something else in those eyes. A quiet sorrow. Sad eyes. When a woman has beautiful eyes, but they carry sadness, there's a 90% chance she's holding deep wounds inside, emotional scars that run deep. And if those wounds aren't healed over time, she's more likely to fall into despair, even to the point of thinking about ending it all. Sad eyes often hide things too painful to speak of, buried beneath the surface. Who has that naturally magnetic charm, the kind that draws people in without even trying? That's the kind of allure we're talking about. Look at her. Do you feel that pull? No? Then she doesn't have it. But this one, don't you feel something? Like you're drawn to her, almost wanting to make her yours. That's natural seductiveness. That's real allure. When you look at her, what part of her face do you feel drawn to? Her eyes. Do they make you want to look into them, to get closer? Here are my eyes. Come gaze into them. Do you feel that pull? Her lips. Do they make you want to kiss them? Her cheeks. Do they make you want to lean in and kiss them too? If the answer is yes to all three, then that's what we call natural allure, the kind of charm that effortlessly captivates. And what about her? Does she have that kind of allure? Do her eyes, her lips, her cheeks draw you in like that? People with charming cheeks, especially with dimples, often have what we call peach blossom allure. It's a special kind of beauty, like a delicate peach blossom in spring, so inviting that everyone wants to reach out and pick it. That's the essence of natural charm. Everyone wants a piece of it. The thing about peach blossom beauty is this. It's like the flowers people bring home just before Lunar New Year. They're proudly displayed on New Year's Eve, but by the 7th day of the new year, they're already thrown out with the trash. And just like that, someone else might come along and pick them up. That's why people say those with this kind of charm often have a rocky love life. Their beauty draws people in easily, but love for them never seems to last. So what do you think? People who are this beautiful, are they blessed or not? Of course they're blessed. Without blessings, you can't have that kind of beauty. And because they're beautiful, people naturally adore them, pamper them. They don't even have to work hard, yet life still offers them comfort. That kind of ease, that's a sign of someone born with fortune. But here's the problem. They don't know how to use their blessings wisely. They lack discernment. It's like giving a 15-year-old who refuses to study a luxury villa and a bank account with 50 billion in it. You're not helping them, you're ruining their life. That's what happens when blessings come without the wisdom to handle them. Fortune, without understanding can be just as destructive. Their inner maturity hasn't caught up, but their blessings have already bloomed on the outside. Because of that, people rush to pamper them, to give them everything they want. And when life feels like silk and roses from the start, they stop growing inside. So yes, the face may be beautiful, but inside they're still just a 15-year-old child, emotionally and mentally unformed. But when it comes to luxury, partying, and designer brands, they live like they're 30, spending like there's no tomorrow. Then one day that beauty starts to fade. Around 30 and beyond, the glow slowly slips away. And by then, has the inside caught up? Has their inner self matured? Usually not. More often, it's already been stained by bad habits and shallow pleasures. Not only do they fail to mature, they pick up all kinds of bad habits along the way. After spending over a decade relying on their looks, indulging in pleasure and vanity, those habits pile up. And what do bad habits create? Blessings or burdens? They create karma, they drain their fortune. So by the time they hit their 30s, they start feeling abandoned. Love becomes messy, relationships don't last, and suddenly they can't seem to truly connect with anyone anymore. There are people who back in the day had hundreds chasing after them, yet now they can't even find one person who truly cares. And in the end, many of them die in loneliness and heartbreak. This pattern, it's more common than you think. When you meet someone like that, someone beautiful but lost in the emptiness behind it, the best thing you can do is guide them toward meditation. Because only through meditation can they start looking inward, truly seeing their own heart. When they turn inward and truly see themselves, many realize there's nothing there, just emptiness. But that realization is powerful. It sparks the will to change. And with a year or two of sincere effort, they transform. I've known a few people like this. 2 years of deep inner work and they were completely different, stronger, more grounded, living with integrity. That seductive charm, that romantic allure. If it was once a 10, it gently softens down to a 3. What's left is not just beauty, but depth, grace, and real presence. The only thing that couldn't be changed was the dimple. That stayed. But everything else, every feature once soaked in softness and seduction, was transformed. Even the eyes, once glistening with emotion, now carry a calm, grounded gaze. That once beautiful, almost too perfect face became the face of someone sincere, composed, and mature. Only the dimple, that little charm that still lights up when she smiles, that's the one thing that remained. Everything else, completely transformed. There's a clear difference between the aura of a concubine and that of a true wife. The concubine often has a soft, alluring beauty, a charm that draws people in. But the wife, her beauty carries weight. Behind the elegance is a quiet authority, a kind of inner strength that's unmistakable. It's not just beauty, it's presence, grounded in wisdom and emotional resilience. That's what truly sets her apart. The beauty of a concubine, on the other hand, often hides something different beneath the surface. Behind the charm is a quiet fragility, a sense of dependence, of needing to cling to someone else for support. There's a subtle taking, a drawing in rather than a giving. It lacks the inner strength, the self-assured presence you find in a true lady. That's an important distinction to keep in mind. These cheekbones don't show a love for conflict, no, but they do reveal inner vulnerability. And where there's inner weakness, there's often emotional attachment. Is this someone who clings, or someone who fights? This person fights, but the clinging comes from being trapped in the energy of the cheekbones. That's where the need for control, the perfectionism, the constant longing lives. It all sits right here. But if they practice letting go, if they truly learn to release, that need starts to dissolve. Now this person here, They're not struggling with letting go, they're struggling with fear. It's not detachment they need, it's courage. Build inner strength, and that fear will fade. On the other hand, this person, full of willpower, overflowing with drive, but what they lack is the ability to let go. They've got the strength, but not the surrender. We've covered the eyebrows, cheekbones, ears, and eyes. What's next? The 3 facial zones. Ah, here it is, the forehead. A square forehead shows a practical mind, someone grounded in reality. A rounded forehead, on the other hand, often points to artistic, literary, or even strategic military thinking. And a protruding forehead? That belongs to someone with a vivid imagination, though often a bit detached from reality. A flat or slanted back forehead shows someone highly practical. Let me show you an example. Here, this one. See how the forehead angles slightly backward? That's a slanted forehead. It's not protruding like a bulging one, which belongs to dreamers. This slanted shape indicates someone grounded, with little interest in fantasy. When they act, it's based on reality. They're doers, not daydreamers. The cheekbones, those speak to desire. They reveal ambition, motivation, longing, emotion, power, and the pursuit of personal gain. All of it is written right there.